Imagining fake scenarios is not a sign that something is wrong with you, but actually, it's one of the most advanced survival tools your brain has. The real danger isn't that you replay arguments or invent conversations in your head. The danger is not understanding why you're doing it and how it quietly shapes your emotions, your relationships, and your confidence. Have you ever caught yourself replaying arguments, imagining future conversations, or living out whole scenes that never happened? Maybe you've mentally confronted someone who upset you. Maybe you've rehearsed a job interview 10 times before it even got scheduled. Maybe you've imagined being admired, rejected, exposed, or vindicated. This isn't random. Your mind is doing something very specific, and this video explains why your brain does this and what it really means about you. Your brain is a simulation machine. Human beings are wired for something psychologists call mental time travel. We don't just remember the past, we project ourselves into the future. We simulate possibilities. We mentally rehearse danger, opportunity, embarrassment, success. Research from psychologists like Daniel Gilbert has shown that the brain constantly predicts how future events will make us feel. It doesn't wait for life to happen, it runs previews. From an evolutionary standpoint, this ability kept our ancestors alive. If you could imagine what might go wrong, you could prepare for it. So when you replay an argument in your head, your brain is attempting to gain control. When you imagine a future conversation, your mind is trying to feel prepared. When you build an entire scenario that never happened, your nervous system is searching for safety. You'll learn that your mind uses these mental simulations to feel safe, prepared, and in control. That's the core function. The brain would rather simulate discomfort privately than be blindsided publicly. But preparation can easily turn into something else. So, let's talk about the default mode network and why your mind drifts. There's a specific brain system deeply involved in this process, called the default mode network. This network actually activates when you're not focused on an external task. It's active when you're daydreaming, reflecting, imagining, or even just replaying experiences in your mind. The default mode network allows for self-reflection, empathy, creativity, and planning. Without it, you honestly wouldn't be able to understand your own identity or imagine someone else's perspective. It's honestly one of the most important systems in what's often called the social brain. We explore the psychology behind these imagined scenarios and how they are connected to this default mode network, because understanding this really does change how you see yourself. You're not crazy for zoning out into mental storylines. You're actually using a built-in cognitive system designed for meaning-making and prediction. The problem isn't activation. The problem, really, is direction. Now, when imagination turns against you, here's where things get complicated. The same system that helps you rehearse success can, unfortunately, trap you in emotional avoidance. Let's say you imagine confronting a friend about something that bothered you. In your head, you're articulate, strong, and clear. You feel relief afterward, but in real life, you never actually bring it up. The mental rehearsal becomes a substitute for real communication. Or maybe you constantly imagine worst-case outcomes. You mentally prepare for rejection, criticism, or humiliation. Over time, your body starts to respond as if those events are already real. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, and your mood shifts. You become defensive toward people who haven't actually hurt you. This is how helpful imagination slowly turns into emotional avoidance. Fake conversations start to feel more real than real life, because your nervous system doesn't fully distinguish between vivid imagination and actual experience. If you rehearse betrayal enough times, you start feeling betrayed. If you replay disrespect enough times, you start feeling resentful. That resentment then leaks into real interactions. You withdraw, you overreact, you assume tone where there is none. Relationships become strained not because of what happened, but because of what was imagined. Why do some people do this more than others? People who grew up in unpredictable or emotionally inconsistent environments often rely heavily on mental simulation. If you couldn't predict caregivers as a child, your brain learned to scan ahead constantly. It learned that safety comes from anticipating every possibility. In adulthood, this can look like chronic overthinking. It can look like scripting conversations, or, imagining every angle of a social situation before it happens. On the surface, it seems like anxiety, but at a deeper level, it's really a control strategy. Other people imagine idealized scenarios. They picture perfect relationships, recognition, admiration. This isn't always delusion. Sometimes it's compensation. The content of your imagined world reveals your unmet needs. If you frequently imagine being deeply understood, there may be parts of you that feel unseen in real life. The imagination exposes emotional hunger. When rehearsal strengthens confidence, it's important to be honest about something. Not all fake scenarios are harmful. Athletes use mental rehearsal to improve performance. Leaders visualize speeches before giving them. Socially confident individuals often imagine interactions going well. When used intentionally, imagination strengthens neural pathways associated with calm and competence. If you imagine handling a difficult conversation with composure and then actually have it, you're training your nervous system for regulation. You're not escaping reality. You're preparing for it. The key difference is whether imagination leads to action or replaces it. If you finish imagining a successful project and then start working on it, that's productive. If imagining the success gives you the emotional reward without the effort, motivation decreases. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between simulated achievement and real achievement. That's why awareness matters. When fake scenarios are mostly catastrophic, confidence erodes. You start believing your own predictions. You assume social failure before evidence appears. Eventually, you act smaller than you are. When fake scenarios are mostly heroic or idealized, reality starts feeling disappointing. Real conversations can't compete with perfectly scripted internal ones. Real relationships feel messy compared to controlled fantasies. You'll understand why fake conversations start to feel more real than real life, and how that affects your relationships and confidence. The emotional intensity of the imagined world can outpace everyday interaction, and when that happens, real life feels dull or threatening. That's when imagination becomes isolating. Working with your mind instead of fighting it. The goal is not to eliminate imagination. That would mean suppressing creativity, planning, and empathy. The goal is to work with your mind instead of fighting it. First, notice the pattern. Are your simulations mostly defensive, romantic, confrontational, catastrophic? Themes reveal beliefs. If you constantly imagine being criticized, there may be a core belief that you're inadequate. Second, after imagining a scenario, ask what it pushes you toward. Does it move you to take constructive action? Or does it leave you tense and avoidant? Third, redirect rehearsal deliberately. If you're going to imagine a difficult conversation, imagine listening calmly. Imagine staying grounded. Train your body for steadiness, not aggression. Fourth, bring imagination back into the real world quickly. If you've rehearsed saying something important, say it in a measured way. Don't let it live exclusively in your head. These tools help you stay grounded, take action, and use your imagination in a healthy way. You don't silence your mind, you guide it. The deeper truth about what this means about you. If you frequently imagine fake scenarios, it doesn't mean you're unstable. It means your brain is active, predictive, and meaning-driven. It means you care about outcomes. It means you want safety, clarity, or connection. The real psychological growth happens when you stop believing every simulation as prophecy. Your mind generates possibilities, not certainties. Once you understand that your internal world is a rehearsal space, not a courtroom delivering final verdicts, you gain distance from it. You start choosing which scenarios deserve emotional investment, and that shift changes everything. If this kind of grounded exploration of human behavior resonates with you, subscribe to It's All Psychological. Share this video with someone who spends a little too much time replaying conversations in their head. The more we understand how the mind constructs reality before reality even happens, the more intentional we become in how we live it.